I'm from Michoacan, and I belong to the Special Forces Corps, that is, the BATS. My story happened around 2020 when the pandemic was really tough. One day, my mom called me very worried to tell me that my dad had gotten really sick. He was short of breath, and an ambulance rushed him to the Instituto Mexicano del Seguro Social hospital because in my town, no private doctor wanted to take him into their clinic. I guess it was out of fear of infection since he was showing symptoms of COVID. My mom told me they had him on oxygen because his oxygen saturation was very low, and if he didn't get better, they would probably have to intubate him. When I heard that, I got really scared because my mom is also an elderly lady, and I knew it was going to be very hard for her to be alone taking care of my dad. I asked her why they hadn't taken him to the regional military hospital of Irapuato. She said my dad couldn't handle the transfer and the nearest option was to take him to Morelia. So I decided to submit my request to ask for vacation so I could go take care of my dad, but they denied it. A captain who was really harsh with the troops.
They said, "Are you a doctor or something? Why do you need a vacation? Actually, you'll be sent on operations up north because there's trouble there."
Honestly, I felt really powerless. I was angry, worried about my dad, and I even felt like deserting. But in the end, I just replied, "Understood."
"Captain, I just want to clarify respectfully. I hope God gives your family good health so that one day you don't have to be in my place."
And I left, just as the captain said. A few days later, we went out on operations to a conflict-ridden state in the north of the country. I was thoughtful the whole time and talked to my mom whenever I could. 2 days after we arrived, we raided a house and secured some toys. Several days went by like that. One day, the section officer noticed I seemed a bit off and asked me what was wrong. I said nothing was wrong, but he insisted, asking, "What is it?"
"Don't do anything foolish. I see you're desperate. If it's over a woman, there are more women than stars. When the operations end, we'll get some cold ones."
That commander was cool with the troops, so I told him what was going on with my dad. When he heard everything,
"He told me to submit my vacation request in writing. Maybe the captain didn't even process your request."
he also told me something that stuck with me.
"Imagine doing something dumb with your mom only to find the captain never sent your request."
So I talked to a clerk at the command post, bought him breakfast, and he helped me submit the request. It took a few days to get a response, but in the end, they did approve my vacation. They told me to pack, leave my gear, and change into civilian clothes because they were going to take me to the bus station. I was really happy on the way, and when I got to the station, I bought my ticket. A sergeant asked me how long until the bus left, and I told him 3 hours. They went back, and I stayed waiting in the lounge with a cap on to go unnoticed, but suddenly a man came up to me and said,
"Follow me and don't make a fuss."
I asked him what he wanted, and then he lifted his shirt a little and showed me what he had in his waistband. Another one came up to me and said,
"Follow us and don't run. It'll only make things worse for you."
I got really nervous. They told me to walk toward the exit, and there was a truck parked there. They told me to get in. At that moment, I thought I was screwed. I didn't run or scream because I knew I had nowhere to go. They put me in the truck, covered my eyes, and took my phone. One of them started checking my phone and said, "What?" I said, "Yes." Then they saw the bat on my chest and said, "Ah."
"Look, he's from Special Forces."
That's when they began beating me and asking if I was giving information to the Contras. I told them I didn't know what they meant. One of them even put a gun to my head and told me I was screwed for trying to leave by bus. We were like that for about 25 minutes until they took me to a warehouse. There, one of them cocked his gun again. I thought they were really going to kill me this time. But suddenly they took off my blindfold and gave me a phone. It was a man with a northern accent. He asked me how his guys had treated me. I told him they treated me well. Then he told me about the kidnapping. It was because some soldiers from nearby battalions were passing information to their rivals, but they checked my phone and didn't find anything. He told me that since I was from Special Forces, he was going to forgive me, but before I left, I had to do something. He handed the phone to one of the men. Afterwards, one of them told me that I had to fight one of his companions in order to leave. That was my way out. I was scared to death, but I agreed. The guy threw a punch at me with everything he had, but I ducked and he ended up hitting the wall, hurting his hand. I took advantage and landed 2 punches on him. Then, Another one of them kicked me and said, "That's enough." They blindfolded me again and took me back to the station. When they got me out, they took off the blindfold and told me,
"You didn't see us, and we didn't see you."
When I got to the station, my bus had already left, so I had to take the next one. When I finally got to my town, my dad was already at home with oxygen. I was tired and still thinking about everything that had happened. And the only thing I kept asking myself was, why are there such assholes in command over the troops? As if they were never going to need a subordinate? If you also have a story you want to share, send it to me, Cornell, to my email, or any of my social networks. I'll read it as soon as I can. Thank you so much, really. It helps a lot if you like, comment, or share. And if you enjoy this kind of content, you can subscribe. I really appreciate it. See you next time.